When the IOTAVX PA3 affordable integrated amp first came to market, it was the talk of the town. It was easy to recommend because it was neutral enough to work well with most speakers. It allowed everyone to enjoy audiophile level performance at an affordable price, meaning that it was detailed enough, it was able to create a good soundstage, it was decent at instrument separation, and dynamic enough. For $500, it was a solid choice. Some might find it too neutral or flat, but most were happy. Now, as you know, affordable hi-fi gear has improved significantly in the last few years, and our expectations are now ridiculously high. A giant killer from a few years ago is only as good as a door stopper these days. So when IOTAVX told me they were coming out with the next generation integrated amp, my expectations were insanely high. Now, I was confident the new IOTAVX SA40 integrated amp would be good. That was never the question. What I wanted to know was whether it would be good for the price or good regardless of the price. Now, of course, how we answer that will depend on our reference point. Now, my reference point is amps that are in the 5,000 to 10,000 area. So as long as an amp can perform around 80% of my reference point, I consider it good regardless of price. The new IOTAVX SA40 integrated amp is good for the price. The IOTAVX SA40 with its matching PA40 power amp is good regardless of price. Man, that's almost sound like I gave it a Michelin star. So the SA40 retails for around $1,000, but there's a special pre-order price at the time of this filming. Now, how can they include everything at this price baffles me. 5 RCA input, 1 XLR input, 1 MMMC input, and an amp in, like a HTM. The SA40 has a built-in DAC, 2 coaxial input, 2 optical input, Bluetooth, HDMI ARC. Now, I did ask why didn't they include a USB DAC input? Well, they told me it would have increased the price significantly. Now, most amps today are Class D. Well, they're going that direction. Not the IOTA. This amp is Class AB, 150 watt into 8 ohms and 300 watts into 4 ohms. With this kind of power, you can drive almost any kind of speaker on the planet. Can you drive Manapan? I'm sorry, I forgot to test it. Now, the sound of the SA40 is neutral, in the sense that there's no exaggeration in any of the frequencies. No tilted up treble, no boosted bass. Although you can say the same for the original older IOTAVX PA3, now what differs is that it is more detailed and there's a bit more dynamic contrast. See, one of the complaints about the original IOTAVX is that it can be boring. Yes, one of the problems when an amp is too neutral is that it can sound flat unless there's good dynamics, which this new SA40 has. Now, with the original SA3, I mentioned there's a hint of vintage flavor, but not with the new SA40. You have speed, resolution, and openness of modern amps. So there's no more hint of vintage flavor. Also, what is great about the SA40 is that you can either party or relax with it. By changing your source, you can have a system that will make you want to go to the gym, or it can be a system that makes you want to sit down and relax. Now, this is an important observation because I was listening to another integrated amp while testing the IOTAVX. And with the other one, I noticed whatever I did, it was so polite that I never wanted to stand up and dance. That polite integrated amp was fantastic for relaxing, but not for partying. You'll also notice that the bass is more present and robust than the original PA3. With the original PA3, I had to increase the bass with tone control, but there's no need with the new SA40. Finally, the SA40 gives a better stereo feel than the original one. So what must you be aware of if you try this amp? Your choice of DAC makes a big difference. So let me tell you a story. When I first got this integrated amp, I had a get-together with Mr. Vintage, an audio buddy of mine, and I invited my other audio buddy, Mr. Kanta. Now, for those who don't follow me, Mr. Vintage's system is usually affordable, under $1,000. Now, in his system, there's usually something from like the 80s or the 90s. For example, a CD player that sells for 20 bucks on the used market today from the 80s. So when I first arrived at his place, I was reminded of how different his system is from the many I have listened to. It does not sound hi-fi. Voices sound very natural and non-intrusive. We often do a test when we play any system. We check if the hi-fi system interferes with our conversation. If it sounds natural enough, it will not. If it sounds hi-fi, it will fight for your attention. Well, neither is better or worse, it's just a question of taste. So another way to think about it is that his system is that, think about songs that are recorded normally, and then you have the same song in an unplugged version. So when we first power up the IOTAVX with the Gustard A26 DAC, our first reaction was that this sounds hi-fi. We have lost the naturalness we heard from Mr. Vintage's system. You become aware you're listening to a hi-fi system. So Mr. Vintage told me, the IOTAVX SA, this new one is good, but for the general market, but not his cup of tea. Now, I was sad because I was hoping that Mr. Vintage would give his full endorsement instead of saying, yeah, this is good, but not my cup of tea. Everything changed when we switched to the onboard DAC instead of the Gustard A26. So from his old Iowa speaker, maybe Sony, I forgot, older than some of you, we connected a coaxial cable to the IOTAVX digital input, and surprisingly, it sounded natural, less aggressive, more musical, and had the same kind of feel as his system. I was shocked at how the character of this SA40 can change so much with a simple source change. Now, I'm not saying it's better or worse, it's just a question of taste. I guess the amp is voice neutral enough that you can hear any source change easily. See, I was happy for IOTAVX because I genuinely wish the best for every company that sends me gear to review. And I always wish I could give them a good review, but I have to be objective in all my reviews. Now, I did not get paid or keep anything for this review. So, although more expensive than the original, the new IOTAVX PA40 is a level up. There's nothing much to criticize regarding the tonality. With some affordable amps, some I will wish it was a bit smoother, some I wish it had better lower mid bass, and many times I will forgive it because of the price. This is not the case with the IOTAVX. Everything is balanced. And the tone control, they work well if you need it. Also, the remote is pretty cool. Well, it's the same old remote as the other one, but it's not a generic remote. Now, if I compare the SA40 to my reference level amps, like in the 5,000 to 10,000 area, the SA40 is good, but there is a significant realistic gap. However, when I combine the affordable IOTAVX SA40 with the power amp, the PA40, the gap of my reference gear narrows significantly. Now, you can use this power amp, the PA40, as a standalone power amp. It will give you 300 watts into 4 ohms, or when you combine with the SA40, it will output 600 watts into 4 ohms. Now, the PA40 has a selector on the front panel, allowing you to choose between driving a pair or 2 pairs of speaker. Now, at the back, you have 2 XLR inputs, 1 RCA input. So, wow, lots of choices. The original SA3 also had the same feature. You can buy the PA3 power amp and bridge it together, doubling its power. The problem with the original one is that it changes the sound, not for the better or worse, it's just different, but it changes the sound. This new SA40 and PA40 does not change the sound. And it raises the performance level to the point I consider it very good, regardless of price. Well, with some common sense. Now, in bridge mode, the soundstage depth will increase with better layering. It'll be more refined, and the control will also improve. You see, a way to explain the control, okay, is without the PA40, when 2 drummers play simultaneously, it's hard to tell which one is hitting harder. With the PA40 bridge, you can tell, oh, that one is hitting stronger than the other one. See, what I'm trying to say is that there is better control as well as dynamic contrast, if it makes sense. At low volume, low frequency also has more kick. You get lower background noise and better separation. Okay, look, I'll let you discover other improvements yourself, because I want to spend time on an important issue. I've heard that IOTAVX has been experiencing customer service issues. Fortunately, IOTAVX has transitioned to new ownership, and they have told me they aim to answer everyone within 24 hours. Guys, for me, as long as they answer and resolve issues within a reasonable time frame and do not ignore their customers, it's good enough. That's the most important. So to finish the video, I don't want you to think you must buy the matching power amp to reach audio nirvana. If you want an all-in-one unit with a neutral presentation for less than $1,000, yes, the SA40 is a solid choice. If you want to stream, yeah, you can look at their MP3 or just add a WIM streamer. The best part about this amp is you have an upgrade path with the power amp, right, the PA40. Now, some of you will ask how it compares the Galion TS A75. Look, guys, I will not compare Galion products to any products I review for obvious reasons. If you want a proper upgrade from the original IOTAVX, this new IOTAVX is a step up. Maybe even two. A step up, I'll say. If shopping for an integrated amp under $1,000, if you are, you must audition the SA40. All right, guys, with that, I will see you next time.
I never think, I never know. I'm stuck and left alone. I've been lost, I've been fine. My cause is not defined.